إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه تسليما كثيرا. Sunday has been our practice for the past 4 or 5 weeks to deal with different topics and subjects connected to the abwab of al-ilm, the doors of knowledge. We talked about quite a few things, and there remain quite a few things, inshallah, that we'll continue to talk about in this series. Today, in today's brief talk, inshallah, is a very, very, very important bab from the abwab of knowledge. It is a door that the Salafi person is mutamayyiz. He sets out different from other people from our ummah because the minhaj as-Salafi dictates that, necessitates that. So we have to struggle, make jihad, make an intention, and go about the means and the ways of trying our level best, inshallah, our level best, to implement these things, to be aware of them and try to implement them. Because I mentioned, as I said, it is al-miza. What is a miza? It's like a special quality that the Salafi has. Not the person who makes an intima and says, I'm Salafi, and automatically he has this special quality. No, not at all. Because Salafi people, when they're ignorant, they fall into this just like everybody else. But true Salafiyah, following the way of the companions, following the Kitab and the Sunnah and the ways of the companions, and how they understood those two sources, may Allah be pleased with them, the definition, that word itself, that ibarah, that sentence, in it of itself necessitates that you have to be on what we're going to talk about today, following the Quran and the Sunnah in accordance to the way that the companions, they followed them. May Allah be pleased with them. So today we're going to talk about Taqleed. Taqleed. That's a word in Arabic that should be in the vocabulary of most of us. Taqleed. But specifically, Taqleed al-a'ma. Blind following. Taqleed. Blindly following someone, something. You don't know why. You don't know what you're doing. Linguistically, in the Arabic language, taqleed has been mentioned in the Quran. And it gives the meaning of what the Arabs understood it to be. A taqleed is when something is tied around a person's neck or an animal's neck, and whichever way the owner of that animal goes, that animal is going to go that way. It's never going to stop and say, where are you going? And resist. It's not going to do that. Wherever the thing takes him, whoever is pulling him, that's what he's going to do. To the point, some animals, to the point in the degree that if he was being pulled off a ledge, he's going to jump off the ledge. And sometimes he doesn't even have to have anything physically on his neck. If there are a bunch of sheep and the leading sheep went off the ledge, all of the sheep will go with him off of the ledge because they don't have the ability to discern. And there are people who are like that in the deen. Allah says this, the Prophet said that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he says, no, but my madhab says, my imam says, my mother, my father said, the people in my masjid said, my sheikh, my teacher, my dad said. That's taqleed, taqleed al-a'ma. The necklace that the woman puts on her neck is called qilada, from that word, qilada. It's a necklace. It doesn't always have to be around your neck as well. It can be in your nose. You could put the thing in the nose of the animal, and you have control over him. It's going to make taqleed. It's going to go where you go. Some people, their taqleed is so bad in the deen that they say things like, well, I'm with the sheikh. Wherever the sheikh goes, I go. He go to Jannah, I go to Jannah with him. He go to hellfire, I go to hellfire with him. I heard with my own ears a man say that about his tribe. He has so much asabiyya to his tribe. And if I mention the country, especially back then, they don't have it like they have it now. But back then, it was an issue that caused their country to be decimated. They fought amongst themselves very bad. I refrain from identifying that country in East Africa because if people heard that, people know exactly what I'm talking about. They'd be upset with me because of that thing still in some of the elders. Alhamdulillah, the younger generations don't have that. But the younger generation, unfortunately, have something worse than that. They make taqleed of Drake in Canada. They make Drake. It's good. It's good. You don't know. Drake, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and those people are astray. They make taqleed of those people. And the way they talk, the way their mannerisms, how they behave. In London, you'll find the youngsters fighting each other, and they're Muslims. They will kill each other simply because he lives in that area code and he lives in that area code. Because they have no deen that tells them killing a Muslim is a major sin. You go to the hellfire. They don't care about that. What they care about is, this is what my friends are doing and this is what I'm doing. And it doesn't even cause one of them to have the light to click on to say, that is haram. Killing a Muslim, whoever kills a Muslim intentionally will be in the hellfire forever. And Allah will be angry with him. And Allah will give him a grievous punishment. I mean, you killed a Muslim. But the culture there is, they don't care about that. Wallahi, they don't care about that. One bit. So, at-Taqleed, that's what it means linguistically. And it has that meaning in the Quran as well, the qala'id and at-Taqleed. Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah, in the second ayah, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, la tuhillu sha'air Allah, ولا الشهر الحرام ولا الهدي ولا تقليد ولا قلائد ولا آمين البيت الحرام يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا. Oh, you believe, do not desecrate and do not violate 5 things. Don't violate these 5 things. Number 1, do not violate the sha'air of Allah, the institutions of Al-Islam. Don't violate the Masjid. Don't violate the Quran. Don't violate your brother by beating him up. Don't violate the things that are known in our religion. We are known by those things. The Yahud in Palestine, they blow up masjids. We are not allowed to blow up churches. We can't do that. That's a place of worship. We can't do that. We have to respect the fact that people, that's what they worship. We don't do that to them just like that. Now, if it was in a Muslim country, it has different rulings, but we can't just do that. You can't come to the masjid and just do anything. So do not violate the institutions of Allah. And don't violate the sacred months. Like this is a sacred month. Dhul Qa'dah. This is the month where we have to be more on top of what we're doing. It's a sacred month. So don't do in this month some of the things you can normally do outside of this month. This is the month to overlook, to forgive, to be humble, to take it easy. And don't violate the animals that you're going to sacrifice for the Hajj. When you perform Hajj and you have your animal that you're going to, don't violate him. by slaughtering him and then taking his eyeballs out, slaughtering him and then doing things to the body, or slaughtering him in front of his kids, in front of his wife, in front of his mother's father. Don't do that. Don't slaughter the animal with a knife that you are hurting that animal. Don't do that. And then the ayah said, the Taqleed. Do not violate the animals of Hajj that have this thing around their neck that shows everybody these are the animals for sacrifice. Don't come to them. Don't bother. Don't steal them. Don't do that. So here in Qasimi, if you go over here to the right in other parts of this area, you'll find these large fields that have cows in them, horses in them. Someone goes and steals those horses and cows. That's bad. But to steal the cow or the animal for the sacrifice, and Allah call it the Taqleed, because they have those things around their necks to designate this is not just an ordinary animal. This is the animal that has been driven and is being left for Allah's sake. And then he said, and do not violate the pilgrims who are seeking Allah's pleasure. They're seeking Allah's fadl and his ridwan. So the point is, he called those animals the Taqleed, whether they're camels or cows or sheep or whatever. As for a taqleed in the religion, the technical meaning of it, this is important, man. It's important. A taqleed is taking someone's opinion and you don't know where he got that opinion from. That's what taqleed is. He tells you, do this, do that. You heard, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. And you do it, and you may be correct in what you're doing. You put your hands like this, and he tells you, you should put your hand like this. And you should keep it straight, or you should move it. And you should make a circle. When he tells you that, out of sincerity, you trust him, and you do it. And that's correct. You're making taqleed. Because you don't know why he told you that. You don't know where to get that from. You're just doing it. And we'll come back to that. Because there is a taqleed that is not praiseworthy, and there's a taqleed that's permissible. So a taqleed is taking someone's opinion, and you don't know why. You just said, okay, I'll do it. And it's haram from the book of Allah, from the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Salaf were against this blind following that we have today. Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned many ayat. For an example, he said in the Quran, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ وَإِلَى الرَّسُولِ قَالُوا حَسْبُنَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. When it is said to them, when you're disagreeing and you're debating and you're arguing and you're giving dawah to this person, that, but you say, listen. It's said to them, Christians, Jews, whoever, come to what Allah revealed. Come to what Allah revealed, or come to what the Prophet brought. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The person say, nah, it's enough for me what I found my father's doing, what my madhab was doing, what Miss Mamie Star was doing. This is what Miss Mamie does was enough for me. It's enough for me. That's a taqleed. To follow your forefathers. Another ayah similar to that, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمِ اتَّبِعُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ قَالُوا بَلْ نَتَّبِعُ مَا أَلْفَيْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. When it said to the kuffar of Quraysh, who worshipped all of these idols, who buried their daughters alive, who used to do all of that stuff that they were doing, but the worst thing is a shirk. When it said to them, come to what Allah revealed, they said, no. We're going to follow what our fathers followed, like the Prophet's uncle, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Talib, who loved Rasulullah and saw all of the virtue in him. And when he was about to die, the Nabi said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, oh uncle, just say La ilaha illallah. I will be an advocate for you. Yawm al-Qiyamah. I'll intercede on your behalf. You helped me so much. You helped my ummah. And his uncle loved him and knew his virtue. But he looked at those kuffar who were there. And the kuffar, you can imagine, were looking at him like, and after looking at those kuffar, bad company at the time of death, don't let ignorant people in the room when a Muslim is about to die. Because they're going to talk about basketball, they're going to talk about football, they're going to talk about Donald Trump, they're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. Religious people will be saying to him, say la ilaha illallah. Say la ilaha illallah. And they'll be dealing with him like that. Ignorant people get you in trouble. He looked at them, he looked back, he said, nah, I'm going to follow and die upon what my fathers died upon. So the ayah said, when it said to them, follow what Allah has revealed, they said, no. We're going to follow what we found our fathers doing. Allah said, make it inkar. Although their fathers had no knowledge and they didn't know what they were doing, they were not guided. Wallahi, brother, my relatives who are Christians have no knowledge. They don't know what they are doing. So my job in giving them dawah is never to be disrespectful, because the disrespect, the anger, that's just going to be a smoke and mirror to give them reasons to reject the truth. Because when you talk to them, their religion, it doesn't make sense. So just be gentle and easy. But if you disrespect them, you make it that much more harder for them to accept the truth, because they don't know what they're doing. Your book is saying everything not to do what you guys are doing, and you take it as a religion. Jesus wasn't sent to you, wasn't sent to African Americans. Here it is, right there in the book. It says that. He said, according to the book, he wasn't sent. But we don't take that thing. We don't take that, and they just jump all over the place. So the point is, these people, they make blind following. Allah mentioned in the Quran, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Do not follow after those things that you have no knowledge about. So there are many ayats. اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم ولا تتبعوا من دونه أولياء قليلا ما تذكرون. Follow al-ittiba'. Follow what has been revealed to you from your Lord, and don't follow people who you made them the wali, the awliya. Your sheikh, your madhab, this, your mother, don't follow that. How little it is the amount of knowledge that you guys have. So in the religion, what we have to do in this deen is we have to make al-ittiba'. There's a big difference between a taqleed and al-ittiba'. Al-ittiba' is the opposite of taqleed. A taqleed is following something that someone tells you and you don't know what the dalil is. Al-ittiba' is following something that someone tells you and you know the dalil. You know why you're doing it. And it makes sense. Not you just do it. He said it's in the Bible. No, you read it, you understand it. That's why Yusuf, for an example, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, taslimin kathir in the Quran, in the story, he said, وَاتَّبَعْتُ مِلَّةَ آبَائِ إِبْرَاهِيمُ وإسحاق ويعقوب ما كان لنا أن نشرك بالله من شيء. He said, verily I follow, I have ittiba' of the millah, the religion of my fathers, Ibrahim, Ishaq, and Yaqub. So the boy's name is Ibrahim. The boy's name is Ismail. He doesn't know who is Ibrahim, who is Ismail, who is Ishaq, who is Yaqub. What did they have to do with this religion? Just that's my name, but al-ittiba'. Follow the proof, follow the dalil. We come to the next issue, and that is, that does not mean that if a person is in a majlis of the general people and a sheikh, is giving a lecture, and then at the end of the lecture, the sheikh with all of those people is asked a question, and he says, yeah, this thing shouldn't be done. This thing is haram or halal. He doesn't go into the detail. The person who's there may not be doing a good thing if he said, what's the dalil? Every time he gives an answer, he has to give it a dalil. If he did that, it's better. That's good. but it depends on the majlis. So giving a lecture and being asked a question doesn't mean the person always has to give the dalil. You got to see what's going on. It is well known about a Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, who was a scholar, who was, a competent, bona fide scholar. I mean, a competent person. Knew how to read the room, knew what to say, knew what not to say, how to say it, how not to say it. Whenever people would do this in the general lessons and ask him about the dalil, and in the audience are regular people, Bedouins, just regular people, he would say to that person from the students who wanted to know the dalil so he can do ittiba, he would say to that person, this is not the majlis for that. Go to the majlis of knowledge and learn. You learn the dalil. Because everybody can't appreciate or understand the dalil, because they're not on that level. The dalil requires him having some background in usul fiqh, and he has none whatsoever. He gives him a hadith. He doesn't even understand what a hadith is. Now, again, I want to repeat. The reason why I'm saying this is because some of our youngsters, they think everything is black and white. Some young person called up a sheikh during this time, and he wanted to get the sheikh either to get him in trouble or to make the sheikh look bad. So he started asking the sheikh about some of the munkarat that are going on in the sheikh's country. People are dying in the prison in this country. Big fitna. And the man wanted the sheikh to make takfir on the people in the country, the rulers. If he said, yeah, all of that is munkarat, and whoever's doing that is kufr. That's kufr, and they're kuffar. That sheikh is going to prison, brother. So he kept trying to say to the person, you can't put these ahkam on everybody like that. You can't do that. And the person kept insisting that. The sheikh had to hang up the phone on him. And now people are taking that, which is spreading all over the internet, as a dalil that the sheikh is scared, the sheikh is in the pockets of the, and no, the sheikh has sense. The same thing happened with Imam Ahmed when the people were saying something that is kufr with the scholars of this ummah, that the Quran is created. The people said the Quran is created. The Quran is the kalam of Allah. It's not created. That's kufrun billah. And they said to Imam Ahmed, those people, these leaders who are saying that the kuffar, give us the permission. We're going to go and get them. We're going to fight against them. We're going to get you out of jail too. These kuffar. And Imam Ahmed said to those people, ad-dima, ad-dima, the blood of the Muslims. This fitna right now is a fitna. But if you do what you're trying to do, that fitna is going to hit everybody. Why don't we say that Imam Ahmed was a scholar for Dawah, he was scared, and so forth and so on? He had hikmah in doing what he did. And that's the scholars of this religion. They know when to answer, when not to answer, how not to answer. So the point here is, it's not always black and white. In our class, there is an environment and a culture here that we're going to try to the best of our ability to give the dalil. To the best of our ability. Why? Because we were exposed to the dawah of Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, who used to push that. His students used to push that. People were affected other than him, but people used to push that. But now, in a lot of times, Salafis have been encouraged, close your mind. And whatever the sheikh says, you have to say it. I pull up to a place with this man, and he gets out of the car with me. The person doesn't even know him. And because he pull up with me, they'll say he's a deviant, he's a kafir. Where did you get that from? Because somebody who he's blind following has that opinion about me or you or whatever. That's Taqleed, al-a'ma. Another very important thing about a Taqleed, ikhwani, is there is a taqleed that is permissible. It is permissible. And that's the taqleed of the person who he's ignorant. So you ask someone who you respect and you trust, and you say, what's the ruling of this or that? Or he tells you something. You should put your finger like this in the tashahhud and point it straight. Don't point it down there. Don't point it up there. You should point it straight. He says, but I see some people moving it like that, and you don't move it. Well, I think you should keep it straight. He looks at those people who he likes. He listens to this, but he tells them that. He doesn't have the ability to appreciate their side or their side. So he says, I'm going to do what they do, or I'm going to do it because he trusts them. That taqleed is permissible. It's permissible because he doesn't have the ability, but he shouldn't talk. He shouldn't argue. When people start talking about what's correct, he shouldn't say anything. He should be quiet and fall back and listen because he's talking without knowledge. He took a position based upon ignorance, based upon trust. See, but unfortunately today, the person is making taqleed, but he feels opinionated. He'll say, so-and-so is a kafir. So-and-so is a mubtadi'. If you ask him, what's the dealio? What are the principles of the religion and the sunnah that he went against? He doesn't know. Or he'll just give something. He goes with the people of deviance. What's the people of deviance? He went over there to that Masjid of Warathi Muhammad, the Balaliyin. He becomes an innovator just like that. So the one who is making taqleed, take that position with the one you respect and just be quiet. Don't get into the fray and don't get into the discussion in the deen. The ayat of the Quran commanded us, ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask them if you don't know. So the scholar who you trust, you love, he said, haram, halal, do this, don't do that. And there are many examples. I mean, we've given examples here that are pretty prevalent. Like, I think we all have respect for Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan. We all have respect for him. If a Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan said Al-Albani was a murji'i, I'm just going to follow that? I'm just going to say that? When I don't agree with that? I don't agree with it. Why? Just out of ignorance? No. Because I heard Al-Albani talk about Al-Irja. And I heard him explain Al-Irja and so forth and so on. Not just going to take the Sheikh's position. The same Sheikh, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, is of the opinion you don't have to put your feet together in the prayer. So the Sheikh said that. And he's greater than all of us in terms of knowledge. The Sheikh said it. Is that the dalil? That's taqleed, that the Sheikh said it. The Sheikh said it. And this is not putting the Sheikh down. This is not putting the Sheikh down. The other day we gave a class about, do we put people in the Jannah or the Nar? Specifically, do we do that? The answer is, from the people of the Sunnah, no. We don't put anyone from this ummah, Muslim, in the Jannah or the Nar because of an action that they did. No one, unless there's some dalil. But the non-Muslims, we're going to put them in the hellfire. The non-Muslims are the original As-Sunnah from the non-Muslims. Sheikh Fawzan, that's not his position. He, along with other scholars, said, no, not even a non-Muslim do we put him in the hellfire. All right, there's another sheikh who said the opposite. So how do we deal with that? Well, if you take one's position, no problem. Just be quiet and don't argue and don't debate. Which brings us to the next issue, and that is, everybody has a religious responsibility. Kenya, Nazir, Salim, Jihad, everybody has a responsibility based on your level in Islam, your intellect, your exposure. Everybody has a religious, ethical responsibility to do your level best to figure out what's the correct thing. I heard so many things about Jamaat Tabligh. I'm sincere. Okay, you have a responsibility. Don't just leave it like that. You have to go and study and look what's been said about it and weigh the situation. And this is where we as Salafi people are, unfortunately, we're murkying up the waters because we have so much ikhtilaf between ourselves that's based upon hizbiyah and taqleed and asabiyah that is very difficult for people to realize what the truth is. Now, I don't think 30 years ago it was as difficult as it is right now. And that's why I believe, from my observations and my husn of with the Muslims, I don't believe that every single individual who is a hardcore, judgmental, intolerant Salafi who's ignorant, I don't think people are like that just because they're mean-spirited. I think a lot of people, not just African Americans in reverse, Moroccans, Algerians, all over the place, you have this stuff. I think a lot of people are like that because when you grow and you become a Muslim, you grow up in those countries and you want the Sunnah because you see all of the khurafat and all of the innovation and how the Muslims are, people are saying they're on the Sunnah. So when they come, whichever group is around them, they're going to find that. And the dawah of this hardcore thing is pretty prevalent. I saw a picture, a cartoon, and they put different things for this cartoon. You know, someone had like a desk, like you're selling lemonade, and the guy over here had the same desk. This desk had a line all the way back there. It was a lot of people, and this line had no one. The guy sitting at this desk didn't have any zabat. No customers were coming to him. Everybody was in that line. He had a sign behind him, and he had a sign behind him. His sign, where nobody was at, said, classes in Aqidah. Nobody was in the line. This line right here was ikhtilaf in Aqidah. This is what the people want to hear about. People want to tussle and fight. And that's just natural. The nufus, they like drama, clickbait, things like that. That's just how the people are. People tend to, like flies, they gravitate to the carcass that's dead. And then the maggots and the smell. So they gravitate to that, sit on that. As for purity, no, people don't want purity. So anyway, a lot of times, not all the time. So what I want to encourage myself here today, and encourage all of you brothers, is just continuously get knowledge. We're going to always be faced with situations where good people, scholars before, scholars now, we're going to have ikhtilaf between ourselves. There was nobody. This brother just came here. I was a young kid, 23, 22 years old. I don't know. When I met that brother, I was a kid. He was around a group of people older than me. I was with some people who they didn't know what they were doing. I was in the middle, was confusion. And then I went to their area. And those brothers were saying, we want the Quran and the Sunnah. And the Quran and the Sunnah was Bukhari and Muslim. But they were not saying according to the understanding of the Salaf, but they were light years ahead of them people. And when I saw those people, I said, wow, I found it. So this brother just came. I was giving the khutbah, he walked up to me. And I remembered him. And we talked. I know the time is going to come. I'm not going to agree with that man on everything. It's not going to happen. I'm telling him right now. It's not going to happen. But when I don't agree with him, am I going to jump on him and put him in an arm bar? And get my son Ismail to help hold him down? I got love for Abu Anis. I'm not gonna agree with everything he says, in the dunya or in the deen. And I repeat to you, brothers, once again, the Quran and the Sunnah, according to the understanding of the Salaf, the Salaf used to say, like Al-Imam Al-Shafi'i said to Yunus. What was his last name? Safadi. Yunus as-Safadi. He said how ma'aqal. Al-Imam al-Shafi'i was so intelligent. They got into a discussion. He got mad at Al-Imam al-Shafi'i. He was upset with Al-Imam al-Shafi'i. He was upset. The way some of us, we get upset. He didn't accept it from me. He was mad, whatever. He was mad. And Imam angry. And Imam Shafi found him haphazardly in the street. He said, Yunus, come here, Yunus. Took his hand, looked him right in the eyeball, and said, Yunus, is it not possible that you and I can have ikhtilaf in an issue and still remain brothers? And when he said those words, it touched the man. Because Al-Imam Al-Shafi, the Salaf, their ikhtilaf in issues where there's room for ikhtilaf, their ikhtilaf was in the aql. It was in the head. It wasn't in the heart. It wasn't in the heart. A man's ghayrah is in his heart. Jealousy for his wife, his daughter, that's in his heart, And it may not be in his best interest when something happens to behave in a particular way, but this is part of how his blood is moving. So he'll act particularly. He doesn't always have the ability to pump his brakes and to deal with it intellectually because it's in his heart. But even that has to be in our intellect still, because we always have to be people who are being judged, not with a taqleed. Your anger pulling you by the nose. Your anger. Told you, it doesn't have to be a rope. Doesn't have to be around your neck. Doesn't have to be. But you're just being controlled by something that makes you take positions that don't even make any sense. We're going to stop here, inshallah, and give you brothers opportunity. If you have any questions, inshallah, you can put your question forward.